It's probably the most attended session. As I can see, there are people standing over there, sir. Uh, I'll start with a question, sir. You've talked about Maharashtra as a state aiming for $1 trillion economy. What role do you see tech and fintech playing in it? And do you have a vision for a lot of young founders that they can be building for? Maybe you could give them some unicorn ideas.
I'm not Kunal to give unicorn ideas, but I think technology has to play a very major role in trillion-dollar economy. Because, you see, the fate of trillion-dollar economy would depend on speed of mobility and speed of data. And for speed of mobility, we are creating a grid of 5,000 kilometers of access ways. But at the same time, the speed of data will determine how we perform in our business. And basically, you see, technology has an advantage. Technology doesn't recognize a person. It treats Mr. Mukesh Ambani or Mr. Kunal or Devendra at a same footage. So with technology, you can actually achieve more efficiency, more transparency, and I think the entire future of this trillion-dollar economy is dependent on technology. So we have identified certain areas where we would like to invest and attract investment, but all those areas are linked with technology. So I think technology has biggest role to play. And see, we all talk about startups, and startup is like, giving simple solution to a complex problem. And that's what we want to do to achieve this trillion-dollar economy. So I think technology, and especially when we are sitting in Mumbai, which is a fintech capital. I mean, people may not recognize, but this is a fintech capital, this is a startup capital. So we are in Mumbai. So I think fintech is something which will drive our economy in days to come, and it will contribute a lot in our growth. So I think technology has a huge role to play.
Thank you, sir. If I have to talk about startups, you talked about that Maharashtra has been doing really well to attract startups and growing. Would love to get your views on how do you think that is growing, your vision for it, in generally attracting talent, and also what's your vision for the state, for what kind of startup would you like to see?
No, basically, first of all, I must tell you that Maharashtra is a fintech capital. Why I want to tell you this? Because, there are different brands which are recognized as startup capitals, but if you look at the absolute numbers, then if we have some 80,000 odd startups which are recognized by the government, and around 100 unicorns, then out of that 15,000 startups exist in Maharashtra, and 25 unicorns are there in Maharashtra. So we contribute the largest number into startups and unicorn. So we are the startup capital. Having said that, I think the government actually looks at startup as part of our governing business as well. So in the past, we organized a few hackathons, and actually we gave some complex problems which we face in our governance. And the young minds, the tech minds, have come up with such a beautiful solutions for those problems. And I think that has made our administration a bit easy, and that has made us reach people very easily. So I think out of that experience, we are actually trying to create an ecosystem for the startups. We actually have an ecosystem, but we are trying to democratize that ecosystem so that more and more startups are there. They register themselves and they actually start doing the work.
This is perfect. Sir, I'm a Mumbaikar. I've spent 38, 39 years of my life before I moved to Bangalore. And people like us would love to come back. I'm curious to know your view on infrastructure. Not that I live in a city which infrastructure is great, so I'm not going to take that. The question is, sir, in the 5 years from now, what can a lot of companies who are building their future setups over here can expect in infrastructure? All of us see, I don't recognize this Mumbai anymore. I see everywhere a lot of development. But sir, what do you see will happen in 5 years' time? If you can just give us a glimpse of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the point of view of infrastructure, Mumbai is absolutely changing. While I was chief minister, actually we started investing in the infrastructure of MMR region. And in just 5 years' time, we have actually invested around 3 lakh crores into building infrastructure in Mumbai. So, as I have already said, that the speed of mobility that we are increasing, we are actually creating around 300 kilometers of metro network in Mumbai, which has already started and will start delivering from the next year. And the coastal road will change absolutely, the way traffic used to move in Mumbai. So right now from Nariman Point to Worli, from Worli to Bandra, there is also already existing way. From Bandra to Warsaw, again, a coastal road is being built. And from Warsaw to Virar, we will be building one more road. So this entire outer road will change the fate of mobility. And as I've already said, that today in our suburban railway, our carrying capacity is 9 million. And in the metro, we are creating a carrying capacity of 8 million. So we are actually doubling the carrying capacity. So the public transport in Mumbai will be, very easily accessible. And we are bringing the entire public transport on a single platform. So that's also, a chance for a startup to provide us a very good platform, very easily accessible platform, because we feel that in Mumbai, from anywhere to anywhere, one should reach within 1 hour, and everybody should get access to some kind of good public transport within 500 meters. That is the plan, and that we have already started. Secondly, Mumbai has a typical problem at that it's a landlocked city. So many times, especially people into IT, people into Fintech, they always complain that we have to pay higher rents in Mumbai, so it's not affordable. But now with the Trans-Harbour Link, it's India's biggest bridge, longest bridge ever built. It's a 22-kilometer sea bridge by which the hinterland will be connected with the main city. So just imagine that from Nariman Point to the new Mumbai, you will reach in 25 minutes or 30 minutes. So this will change the entire, entire ecosystem, because entire hinterland will be connected, and we are actually developing a new city. You can say that it's a third Mumbai, the Naina area, which is near the new Mumbai airport, which we have already started work, and most probably by July 2024, this new airport will also be working. So this entire area, we are creating a absolutely new Mumbai that will provide affordable housing, they will provide affordable working place, And with this connectivity, the heart of Mumbai, whether it is Bandra, whether it is Worli, whether it is South Mumbai, that connectivity will be 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So I think that will actually open up entire new ecosystem for fintech and startups and all type of businesses.
This is amazing. As a Mumbaikar, I feel very excited about this. I think our expectations are increasing, and a lot of these developments are going to only create more and more progress. Really happy for it. Sir, there are a lot of, Maharashtra was the first state to have a formal fintech policy. And there are many programs like Mitra and others that you have launched. I would love for you to give some details about vision on fintech and also talk about any new policies that you've launched or programs that you've launched.
No, actually, you are absolutely right. In 2018, we launched our fintech policy, and we were the first state to launch our fintech policy. And it has been very successful. In that fintech policy, we started smart centers. We actually, started a fintech registry. We started industry API sandbox. So all the things which a fintech would need. We also initiated a fund of 200 crores for fintechs to access, and that has resulted into around more than 500 fintech company accessing and going through our arrangement. And there have been investment of nearly 1,000 crores and indirectly around 9,000 crores into those fintechs. So I think this fintech policy, which we did, we created co-working spaces. The entire ecosystem was created so that, all the fintechs are benefited. Right now, the policy is widely accepted by the fintech industry, and I would like to have your suggestions. If you would like to suggest us, we are absolutely eager to amend it, to change it, to make it more suitable to attract more and more fintechs.
Oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much. Sir, I'm going to switch gears and move on to Mr. Fadnavis for a second. And it may be some unusual questions, so bear with me on that. You were the youngest corporator at age of 22. You probably were one of the youngest chief ministers at the age 44. And you've had probably more success at a very young age, and most founders over here aspire to have very successful life. Would love to get your mantras, mental frameworks for a lot of young, ambitious people on what they can learn from Mr. Fadnavis. You may have taken a political journey, but you are no different than a founder. But I would love to get that perspective.
In fact, I would like to, know your success mantra and the success mantra of many people who are sitting here. And I really get inspired when I see such young minds doing such wonderful jobs. I mean, when we were kids, we used to, know about Tata and Birla, then it became Ambani and Adani. But today, with all these disruptions, anybody can be Tata Birla, anybody can be, Ambani and Adani. And when I see, young people at the age of 25 doing such commendable, jobs, creating so much of wealth, so I get inspired. But if you ask me, my journey has been really very fast and comparative. If you compare it with the people, other people who are into politics, then yes, I did everything at a very young age. But I think that's because of a lot of focus, and I have a ability to fit into any role. So if I am chief minister, I am fit in that role. I will do everything to become the best chief minister. If I am leader of opposition, then it's a nightmare for a government. I absolutely ensure that I am the best leader of opposition. Now, after these two roles, I have come into a role of deputy chief minister. So whatever it takes, that I will give all my efforts, and my entire focus will be now on, giving justice to this role.
This is amazing, sir, and super inspiring. One more question. Just like everybody over here, you also have 24 hours a day, and you are switching between multiple contexts. You are once in a cabinet meeting to coming to a fintech festival to speak, to attending an urgent matter or reviewing a budget of some big project. How do you manage time? How do you do this context switching? How do you can keep your focus alive? I'm asking these questions because this is the standard struggle of everybody. And we have maybe 1/10 or 1/100th of the scariness of decisions to make, because most of the decisions you make are irreversible in some ways and have long-term impact to some of these things. How are you staying focused? What's your method of doing that?
So actually, when you are in public life, the biggest problem is that the number of people you have to meet every day is absolutely,
How many people you meet every day?
So today there was a cabinet meeting, and after cabinet I was sitting in my office, and there were at least 200-300 people in my office, 200-300 people outside. There was not a inch of space to even stand. And then for 3 hours I was actually meeting people, and then I started the other business. So it's a routine normally. But I remember that when I became chief minister, one of the civil servants, he met me and he said, "Sir, I want to give you one suggestion." I said, "What?" He said, "See, you are a chief minister, and in our country, the time of politicians or time of chief minister is not theirs. It's of people. People steal every second from you. So in the morning, you have to decide that what is your agenda, and you have to take out time to finish that agenda. Otherwise your entire agenda will change, your entire focus will change, and people will go on meeting you, you will go on doing their work, but the real work for which you are holding the office, you will never be able to do." And actually that became a very magical word for me. And I started doing that. I still do that. So every day I decide what I want to do today. And come what may, I do it on that day. Even if I meet 1,000 people, and if it takes me to work for 18 hours, I am ready to do that. But I finish my agenda.
That's amazing. That's a big lesson. I'm going to copy this format for sure, because you're right. Your time just disappears, and at the end of the day, you not move much. Being in your role and in a fast-changing environment, right? Like 10, 15 years ago, internet did not exist, and fintech, UPI did not exist, and a lot of these things. What is your process to keep up with technology changes? Do you have special people who are telling you all this stuff, or you pay attention to things, you meet people? How do you do that?
It happens to everything. I have my aides who actually, keep me running with the time. So what is happening in the tech world, what is new in the tech world. And secondly, being in the government, actually we have to use the technology. We must know the new technology. And for every technology, we have to actually either create ecosystem, or we have to create some regulations. Fortunately, we create less regulations for tech world, but otherwise also we have to create some regulations. So that is also one thing. But one more thing, that I always like to interact with young people, because while I was chief minister, I started CM fellowships. So we used to have a very transparent process. Through a very transparent process, we used to actually have CM fellows. And these were very bright minds, young minds. They used to come, and they used to work for 11 months with us. And it became so successful. So interacting with them, it used to give us, absolutely a different vision. Because, they were hands-on with technology, and they had very fresh ideas. And I always used to say, I used to tell my IS my colleagues that, look, we do the same things. So we reach a stage where we feel that we know everything. But that's not the case. These young people know more than what we know. And ultimately, initially there was quite a resistance because these were the accomplished officers, and they said, "ये कल का लड़का मुझे क्या बताएगा?" But then they also started understanding that these people have a different vision. They know technology more than we know. And ultimately they gelled with us 5 years. So many CM fellows came, and bright minds. I must salute them. Many of them were so settled. They were absolutely graduates from good business schools with earning a lot of money, and they gave up their jobs and they came and joined us. Few of the initiatives which they started, just to quote one of the initiatives about farm ponds. So they created a tool to monitor the farm ponds, and that tool got Prime Minister's Innovation Award. So I think interacting with these bright minds, that also keeps up in pace with the technology.
This is amazing. At Cred, sir, the average age now with the team is around 26. I'm skewing the average a lot for the team, but I try to keep it down. The interesting trend, sir, every house has a chief technology officer now between the age group of 10 and 18. And they basically very quickly are becoming the chief procurement officer of the household as well. So it's good that you're calling it out for many of you who are young, and when you have bosses who are above, let me tell you the type of people who use the phone with one hand. That's the type you should be telling that they should be telling you to give more decision time. But sir, on that note, I'm going to switch back to the big agenda. 10 years from now, sir, the government is working on many, many big initiatives, and there are some projects that you can talk about, not talk about, but how to see India 10 years out? I'm sure you think about this from not just a lens of Maharashtra, but the whole country is changing. And I have been in Fintech for 13, 14 years. I really wanted to spend time at all the stalls because I feel irrelevance every 3 years, sir. So how do you see 10 years from now? If you have to paint a vision for us, how to see India in 10 years?
So I would tell you two things. One is this Prime Minister's Gati Shakti scheme. It is amazing thing. That will change the way we used to deal the government business. Because, every time we used to complain कि भाई कल रास्ता बनाया, आज MSCB वालों ने आके तोड़ दिया, कल फिर वापस हमने एसफाल्ट किया, तो टेलीकॉम वाले आकर तोड़ कर गए. This Gati Shakti, it absolutely, creates a synergy between all the government departments, and it looks at the future. So once you create it, it's futuristic, and it takes care of every department. So such synergies have never been there in our governance. Secondly, a few days back, while I was Chief Minister, I was called to Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy to give a lecture before young budding IAS officers. So I told them that your role is going to change, and that's what I feel that most of our IAS officers, they aspire to become collectors, and collectors are basically, they are revenue collectors. The entire revenue system is there. Now we have already started, and probably in next 2-3 years, the entire revenue department will be a blockchain.
Amazing.
And once it becomes a blockchain, there is no role for a collector. There is no role for a revenue officer. Because, what you really do as a collector, or down the line, all the revenue officers, you look at the land records, you change the land records, you change the title, you give the title. And when there is a problem, for rest of your time, You do the hearing that Kunal status is given to Devendra Fadnavis comes to you, then there is an appeal, then for 2 years you hear that, nothing will happen because entirely it will be a blockchain. So I think in future, this entire role of governance is going to change. Now in Maharashtra, we have already, while I was at Davos, we we entered into a MOU with World Economic Forum, and with World Economic Forum, we started one initiative which was actually inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, where we are now trying to use drones into agriculture. See, today sustainability is the biggest problem in agriculture. But this drone technology is so amazing that from sowing to flowering to the entire harvesting, it can capture every activity with precision. And you know, it can absolutely with precision tell you if there will be any pest on your crop, and if there is a possibility of pest attack on the crop, then with precision it can spray the pesticide.
Amazing.
So this will absolutely, today, for such events, every year our government is paying 2,000, 3,000 crores as a compensation to the farmers.
Oh, wow.
But with this technology, things will absolutely change. So we have right now tried it in 6 districts. It has been largely successful. We still have some challenges. But these things will be totally changing. And our Prime Minister's thirst is on drones now, because that is, actually future. So even delivering medicines into remote areas, there are still areas which are cut off, which are far off. So in the COVID times, we tried and deliver the COVID vaccines through drones. So all these things are going to change, the way we look at our country. And it's not far. I mean, such things used to change in 20 years, 30 years. No, in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Every coming year will change the way we, as a government, we used to do business, and that will change the face of country.
Fascinating. I have a question for the audience. How many of you are in a company where it's very hard to hire good engineers for your company? Please raise your hand. Okay, good 20-30% over here. So what's the plan to create high quality engineering talent for the state? It's a big problem. Most of our projects are missed at CRED because we just can't hire fast enough of high quality. And we have been told by our team members that we should open up office in Eastern Europe because we are finding cheaper talent at better technology skills, which is unusual because India is such a large country. But I would love to get your remarks on that.
I think you are absolutely right. I mean, not today, but maybe 10 years back, there was a survey done by NASSCOM, and the result was that out of 100 qualified engineers, only 25 were employable, 25% were employable. Now the things are improving, but I think there are two things. One is, for years together, there has been absolute disconnect of our industry and academia, and that is very important. So with the new education policy, I think now there will be no more a disconnect with of industry and academia, and mostly the new education policy aspires that the businesses or the industry should be the academic area. It should be the campus, and the campuses should be the industrial area, or it should conduct the business. I remember that while I was chief minister, we for the first time had a artificial intelligence center, Vadvani Artificial Intelligence Center, opened up in this Kalina campus of Mumbai University. And it was first collaboration at that scale between industry and academia. And it's running well. In fact, it's contributing a lot into artificial intelligence. So basically, now with this new education policy, this disconnect will go. And secondly, now we expanded our technical education a lot in last 20 years. But while expanding, we lost the quality aspect of the education. But with the national accreditation system and with lot of effort now by the government, now that quality is coming back. Secondly, the biggest problem was that as a government, our regulations did not permit our universities or our autonomous institutions to collaborate with the foreign universities or good tech universities, good tech autonomous colleges abroad. But now it is very easy. With new education policy, there is no bar at all. So I think this will actually infuse absolute new life into the tech minds and in creating technical human resource. So hopefully, down the line, after 2 years, if we sit here, this problem will be reduced by 50%.
That's great, sir. Sir, you've been very generous with your time. I'm going to ask you one final question. You have the brightest minds of fintech in front of you. What do you have as a wish for them to do, and what can they do? We are all super proud to be in India and Indians, and very proud of all our progress, and we are only getting hungrier and more ambitious. What would you tell them, sir?
See, there can be many things, which I would like to have them do. But one thing which they can assist me and this entire country is our system of crop insurance. Right now the system is that whenever there are, torrential rains or some type of disruption, then we do the field surveys. Those field surveys are collated. Then we do the assessment. Then that assessment goes to the insurance company. Then insurance company again collates it with its data. And then the money is sent to the banks, and then banks, give the money to the farmers. So maybe we can create a tool where using drones, this entire data could be captured, it could be processed, and through banks, this entire money can directly go into the accounts of the farmers. And I think that will, because every year, if you look at just Maharashtra, in Maharashtra, this crop insurance business is worth 5,000-6,000 crores every year, and in the entire country, it must be around 40,000-50,000 crores. So, if we can bring objectivity, if we can bring transparency, if we can bring efficiency, then lot of trauma can be brought down. So maybe the minds can work on this issue.
That's one unicorn idea for you guys. Mr. Fadnavis, thank you so much for your time. You've been very generous. As you can see, people who are waiting for your session. Really appreciate you coming over here, and hopefully this event will keep getting bigger. I have to remind you, it was earlier with your initiative, it was supposed to be called India Fintech Festival, which was evolved into this global fintech festival, and hopefully we will control fintech for the whole world, and many of our innovations will be copied by everybody here in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you.